Welcome to the next episode of the CAPB podcast. For today's session, delighted to welcome the founder and lead instructor from OpsCon. Between them, served over 25 years in both the British Army and the US Army with the Ranger Regiment. So welcome, Fraser and Lee.
Welcome, guys.
Here, thank you.
Thanks for having us on, Matt.
This is a pleasure, actually, to have you on, because I know we've done some stuff recently where we support each other. The OpsCon and what you're doing with the OpsCon is getting much more traction. So to come on our podcast, I appreciate you're very busy, man. It's quite humbling for us, and we're really looking forward to the chat. So it's going to be
good. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
So by way of starting, this is a veterans podcast about veterans doing pretty cool stuff. So we'll go over, if your career, your extensive careers was a highlight reel, what does that look like? What were the good things? You can mention some of the bad things as well.
I mean, the good things. I mean, I've got all my limbs.
If we go all the way back to 2005 and I start this journey from there, how long do we have? No. So I think for me, the highlight of my career is obviously Herrick. I joined February 2005. I left June 2014. South American Belize was an interesting thing, like 35 days in the jungle with one pair of pants and two pairs of socks. That's quite something. Herrick is obviously, I think for the majority of our generation, is the thing that we've come away with in whichever way, shape or form. I served with originally the Royal Highland Fusiliers, then amalgamated into the 2nd Battalion Royal Regiment of Scotland, and then transferred over to the mix, One Irish Guards. Spent my final 2 years there, hoping to become a Apache pilot, but it turns out hay fever is a bit of a problem to fly those things. And that was where I thought, you know what? I think that's me done. I've got the medal, and I'm going to go see what else is out there.
Fitting in the helicopter is probably an issue as well.
Yeah, too tall. We used to have a guy called Too Tall on Herrick A. He was like 6'7". He still crammed himself into an Apache.
Right, fair one.
Before we get into the detail, what about you, Lee? What's the highlights of your career, mate?
Highlights of my career. Well, the first highlight was my first tour. I joined my unit in country, and that's where I found out Rangers don't sleep inside the wire. So I got a one-man tent outside the wire of the CAF. That was my introduction to the country. I'd say that's quite a good highlight. Apart from that, Afghan's fun. South America is far more fun when it comes to the kinetic stuff for the anti-narcos, which RRC, when I joined RRC, we got to do quite a bit of. I enjoyed that. And then, being here. Not being under the ground and having all my limbs, all my toes to wear these beautiful socks. So I'd say that's a bonus as well and a good highlight.
Mate, you know what's fascinating is you are the first international veteran that we've had on the podcast.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm breaking records all about the place. I love it.
All over this place, mate. All over this place. And not only that, but we've set the bar high. You're like ex-Rangers. Brilliant, mate.
Well, the bar will drop. You'll get Marines on here next. I'll tell you that. Not the Royal Marines. For all the Brits listening, you guys are all right. I'm talking about the American Marines.
I think one of the things that it comes out so often on the podcast, right, is we speak to veterans who've done all kinds of jobs on all kinds of ops all over the world. And when we say to them, what's the highlight of your career? It's always the worst time, Like at that time on Herrick, Paul and I both deployed to Herrick. We both deployed to Iraq. And there were some really difficult times on that tour, but when you look back afterwards, you're like, yeah, no question, that was the best part. Like, no question, mate. And I did like 2 football tours playing soccer, Lee, in Vegas and San Diego, mate. I flew to Vegas and San Diego to play football for 2 weeks, paid for by the Army. But yet my highlights are from the op tours. Do you know what I mean? Make it make sense.
Playing American teams isn't going to be a highlight in that. I mean, come on. We're not well renowned for that sport, are we?
We had to travel halfway around the world just so we could win some games, mate. You know what I'm saying?
And I bet it looked like you were playing kindergartners as well.
Mate, to be honest, it was surprising. When we played a team. We went on one of the football tours we went to was New York, and we played a team called FC Cypriot. And they were essentially, we played this game in New York, but they were all like Europeans, and they were brilliant, mate. We got battered about 13-0. It was the worst game of football I've ever been involved with. Right, so let's talk about the OpsCon. Okay, so first of all, just for the listeners and for the viewers, what is the OpsCon?
So in its simplest form, it's a global community of veterans and blue light service leavers uniting to help each other succeed. That's the tag, that's the purpose. And ultimately, I left in 2014, and over the last 12 years, especially in the early days, I just thought it shouldn't be this hard. It just shouldn't be this hard to transition out of the military. There should be more support, and there should be this lighthouse effect that's available to us that helps us navigate that transition, and however that looks. Through lived experience, from leaving in 2014 up until the creation of the OpsCon in October 2024, I kind of picked and chose all of the elements that I thought were super relevant to an individual transitioning out. And I created this entity that's there for everyone, where it's not, I'm going to sell you this thing, I'm going to give you this information, this direction, off you pop, you'll be fine. It's more, there's a whole 52 million plus veterans in the world. Imagine we connected all of us. And if we can do something with that to support absolutely every individual that needs it, put that lighthouse up, that when that transition happens, as it's happened for all of us at the highest ranks down to Joe Blogg's private, there is somewhere that you can connect to that is very straightforward in its approach, to help signpost you and give you that lighthouse and those choppy waters as to what's next for me. So yeah, took over 10 years of civilian life and experience, and some really difficult times and ups and downs, roller coaster ride, and created a platform and an entity that is there in its infancy right now, but has the potential to connect all of us. And that includes not just veterans, but blue light service leavers, paramedics, doctors, NHS, teachers. We're all connected through service. Just because we were bombs and bullets doesn't mean that we weren't serving someone else in the entirety of our early careers. So by doing so, I created that global community. We've got engagement from 35 plus countries. We've had engagement from 8 of the world's biggest militaries. From a veteran standpoint, we have New York Fire Department, we've got LAPD, we've got South African Police Department. It's been humbling and awe-inspiring that we all just instantly connect and agree on the same thing, is that transition's real, it exists. We lose a piece of ourself and our identity, and that next kind of stepping stone is difficult. So created the OpsCon. It's a lighthouse.
Well, just the scale of it sounds it blows my mind, the absolute scale of it, because even if you was just to focus on just veterans, military veterans, right? Even in just in the UK, that's a big task, right? It's a big ask. But you've gone, absolute fuck this. What I'm going to do is we're going to expand it, and we're going to go, actually, exactly that. Just because we were bombs and bullets doesn't mean we've not all served. And I think that's just, it blows my mind. So there's that, but if I was getting out now, how would I reach out to OpsCon if I was leaving now and I didn't know what to do? I was exactly the same position where I got out in 2013 and was unceremoniously dumped on the streets of London after handing my ID card into someone that I never fucking knew. I wasn't expecting doves or fireworks to go off, or those immortal words, "Thank you for your service," because that makes me fucking heave, right? Didn't expect that, but I didn't get that transition. I didn't get that transition that at the time I just thought was completely normal. Looking back on it now in hindsight, I was kind of like kicked out the door, fuck off you go. Friday I was in the military. Friday morning I was in the military. Friday afternoon I was unemployed, and I didn't give a fuck. And it was like, wow. So I was around about the same time. I know things have changed since then, and leavers in general. I can only speak from the military, UK military, but leavers it's changed. Let's say now I am leaving today. How would I get in touch with OpsCon?
So that is something that we are now in a phase of expanding our reach as much as is possible. But what we know ultimately is social proof is everything. And we as veterans, you leave those gates. I got a set of plastic cufflinks. Maybe you didn't, but I got some plastic cufflinks to help me on my way. And you leave those gates. There is so much prior preparation that one could do that they generally don't, as to identifying what are the resources out there and what do I need to do before that last paycheck comes in. How to find us at the moment, we are slowly but surely building up that reputation. The word of mouth is starting to spread, and we're building those foundations necessary for people to know that we're there. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're screaming into a dark room with no one listening, no one's going to hear you. And I hear you. Yeah, we're actively taking approach now to engage, especially the younger generation, the newer generation. Obviously, they're in that immediate transition, and to capture them. But I suppose, in a nutshell, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, our website, and any network access that anyone's heard about us is all we've got at the moment. But I suppose it's the same for everything, right? Business is business, and how do you reach your customers?
They can reach out to us individually as well. We're always there for support, guidance, anything like that. If somebody just wants a nudge in the right direction, they don't necessarily know what they want to do, we're there for a chat. Or, our digital door is open, so they're more than happy just to reach out to us individually.
I love that, and I think everything's got to start. Every marathon starts with the first step, right? And I think your website is really slick. It's really good, and you've got a venue. You're not just a remote thing. You've got a real, you've got a venue in a real incredible part of the UK and an iconic part of the UK in Battersea Power Station, right?
Mm. Yeah, we've also got some other venues that just came to life for us that will take our community back to its roots as well, where we've been lucky enough to get access to the DTE, the Defence Training estates, and we are hopeful that in the future we can take you all back to those roots and give you some memories and do some training in those wonderful places like Barry-Budden and up north of Scotland and Dundee and things like that, but at Brecon Beacons.
As long as Otterburn's out of the question, that's absolutely fine. Because Otterburn can just fucking die. Horrendous place.
I was a PSI at one point in my career where I was working with reserves, and I had a map next to my desk with all the training areas, and one of them in Scotland was called Black Dog. And I always used to look at it and think, if Otterburn's bad, this place is like north of they've called it Black Dog. Nothing good can come from doing a training exercise in Black Dog.
Yeah. I think we've got to look at this one, actually.
Right? We try that one out to take people back to the fond memories.
What I was going to say was, what did your resettlement journey look like? Because you left in 2013. We are 12, 13 years on. What did you guys do when you left the military to where you are now?
I started getting paid more to do the same thing, really. I mean, I had a fantastic resettlement in that. No, realistically, when from what I've heard, leaving the Brit Mill is completely different to leaving the American Army. I didn't leave of my own accord. I was injured, so I left. I never intended on leaving. But when I did leave, I was fortunate enough to get a contract with Triple Canopy, which was, at the time, the actual Triple Canopy. And it was working with completely like-minded guys. They loved that I was a British citizen, so they said I could deploy all over Europe. And I was, sounds amazing going to Europe. So I was in Caracas. I did Colombia again. I was in Brazil again. I never actually got to see any of Europe. I just kept going to South America. But it was, even though I was kind of doing the same thing, it was for a different cause. Obviously, you're doing it purely monetarily based. You're with a new team every other week. So you lost that sense of purpose and sense of self and that camaraderie, even though it was there to a certain degree, because all the guys were still like-minded. when you're with a new team every other week, you don't build those bonds. You've not really had the same shared lived experience. And I always call it shared misery. You go through shared misery together, and all of a sudden that's an unbreakable seal and bond, really. And don't get me wrong, it was miserable times. I mean, South America is not the nicest of places in the world to operate under any condition, but it was a different type of misery, I'd say. But yeah, there was no signposting. And then when I came over to the UK, it was even worse, if I'm honest. I made friends with a couple of vets, all three of my uncles from my dad's side, they were British military. And they had the same thing. And they said it's one of those where in the British military, you leave and that's it. You're left to your own devices, find your own way, and don't come back unless, you're under the age of 65.
Excuse my ignorance, triple canopy, was that doing private security stuff?
Yeah, that was private security.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been in the private security industry since I left. Realistically, I haven't left. So
it's a similar concept and time frame to Blackwater.
Yeah, but we weren't Blackwater. Not as many war crimes and shit like that, really.
Is it at that point that I put my hand up and say, yeah? Okay.
You can do one, yeah.
So my transition.
Yeah.
I leave in June 2014. Not blowing smoke, but I had maybe a little bit more of a mindset as to plan and prep. I completed Ronin, South Africa, December 2013, before I'd even finished got my paycheck. Close protection training for high-risk environments, executive protection, private security industry, to get licensed and deploy out to the wider security market, either internationally, back to the sandpits, or in a first world environment, London and all the nicer places in a 5-star environment. Having completed that, I left June 2014, and first year out, I worked 348 days out of 365, minimum 12 hours a day, often bolstered on with another 6-hour shift to 18-hour days, because the approach was as simple as, no one's going to do this for me. The more time on the ground, the more opportunity I'll get. Don't get me wrong, I was earning more money than I'd ever earned in my entire life. And I was agency security for the majority of that 348 to a company that had me at a 5-star hotel, the Dorchester on Park Lane. That was the initial kind of hit the ground running as hard as I possibly could. Everything after that point has been an absolute roller coaster, with some weird and wonderful, amazing things, and also some very, very dark, difficult times. After I left that, I picked up some close protection work. I deployed out to places like Geneva on huge teams with like CIA and MI6 present, and British government, American government. Got lucky in some respects. But after that little flutter into the private security sector, I actually got picked up by an ultra high net worth individual, and I ended up working for them for 3 years, just over 3 years. And in the ultra high worth spectrum, we're talking like billions and billions of pounds and crazy estates and Rolls Royces and all of that. So obviously, coming from what we come from, going into that, I was a little bit like, oh, all right, what's this all about? But it was actually in that first engagement with a private client that I first identified what I actually started to enjoy and I was good at. And what we are as soldiers is generally jacks of all trades. When I joined, the first thing I got to do was block jobs and clean toilets. So we know how to do that pretty well. And then on top of the rest of your career, you start to try your hand at absolutely all sorts of different things. And if you can be trained in it, you can do it. That's the generalization of the military. And I figured out that I liked things to be sporadic and all over the place. And I ended up becoming kind of PA, EA, head of security, chief of staff, house manager, estate manager. I looked after the international properties. I drove. No one day was the same. Those days I'd be skateboarding in the park with the kids and teaching them how to ride a bicycle, to the next day I'm on a private jet traveling to South Africa to take them climbing up Table Mountain and so on and so forth. That was a great experience. Then I went into trying my hand at business, and first time round, I can tell you I was not as fortunate as I am now. And I made some terrible mistakes. I learned some of the hardest lessons, and that old saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Don't ever forget that. I went too fast, like a bat out of hell, and I made some terrible, terrible mistakes. But transitioning again out of the private security sector and private clientele and going into business, it was another thing where actually I identified the chaos of business, the ever-changing landscape constantly is really good for us in a lot of ways, because it keeps you on your toes at all times. And tried my hand at business, failed. COVID hit. I actually then became the night manager of the Dorchester Hotel, having gone back after all those years, and ended up the hotel closed for its first time in history. And the only 3 people in that hotel were me as the night manager, Gary Oldman, and Douglas Urbanski, an executive producer from LA, and Sir Gary Oldman. Struck up a relationship there, and I tried my hand at business again, with support of a whole Rolodex of Hollywood. And that's where USGC was born, Urban Sky Global Concierge. That is my main company, bread and butter. I've been going for 3.5 years. And it's through the foundations and the fortune of that the OpsCon came to life. And here we are.
I think, mate, the stories are incredible, mate. And I think it's one of those things where it's about opportunity, isn't it? It's about, you've even COVID, even lockdown, and you're like one of 3 people in a hotel with Sir Gary Oldman off for slow horses, which is amazing, by the way. You know what I mean? And it leads to where it is and leads to the next thing versus I just think we have this opportunity to network, and it's something that, lots of great things can come from. And I think, like a sliding doors moment almost.
Yeah. If anyone can take anything away from this today, network is absolutely key to everything. It's the key to everything.
And skill set.
Well, skill set.
You can grow it, but if you don't have a skill set, you're not willing to learn the skill set, your network's only going to get you embarrassed.
You can take it off the cuff, though. No cuff too tough and those sort of things. You can fake it till you make it in some respects. No?
You watch me fly a plane and see how far I get.
Do you want us to go for a minute? Do you guys want a minute? So what's next for OpsCon? What's the next thing on the horizon? The nearest thing that you're going to deliver?
I'll let him say this because I give things away and then he gets angry, and then I got to do that.
Loose lips sink ships, don't they say? So what's next for the OpsCon? We are moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to keep up with delivery. And the main thing, is we will never break this promise. The value must remain with the members. So everything we're doing right now is how can we bring more value to them? How can we bring more value to them? We're not. I have no shame in saying we are not a charity, and veterans are not charity cases. They just need pointed in the right direction, given a waypoint, and off they'll go forever and ever and a day. We have a subscription service, and in that subscription, our breakdown of our revenue goes 10% to the Afghan veterans community, 30% is reinvested into the OpsCon so that we can scale it. The big dream is that we could scale this to an entity that has an OpsCon headquarters in as many major cities in the world, that ultimately hires veterans and blue light service leavers to run and maintain those headquarters, to be the lighthouse for those individuals within their ecosystem, because Americans are very different. And
in a good way.
And help navigate their markets, because, I can tell, as a South African, I can tell you right now, South Africa is the wild, wild west.
Very different.
So it's block building. It's what things can we offer. At the moment, we are working very heavily from a training perspective. We have amazing founding partners and partners that deliver very good training that will prepare individuals to go into 3 major sectors, from private security to hospitality, private households, etc., and private driving. a professional driving services, each of these carefully selected by me through lived experience, because they are readily available in most cities, in most countries, and they are short, sharp, to the point with earning a buck. And the quicker you can earn a buck in that transition period, the financial pillar falls down. That's where people fall down. And the black dog does turn up. So yeah, we've just launched our headquarter training space, the Academy training space in Battersea Power Station, and we are working on the offerings from us personally. We are by no means trying to become a chocolate factory training provider. It's about having the opportunity to engage with our community and to get them educated in areas that we are very experienced in, that has employment opportunities for them on an international basis.
And to benefit them.
I was going to say, like, the experience you two have got, both in service and out of service, working in private security, is a serious amount of credibility delivering courses. Then, you know, it's like a serious level of that you can bring to veterans. It sounds incredible.
They might learn a thing or two, I'd like to think.
I'd like to think they will, but it's a very fun thing to watch a veteran go into ultra high net worth and high net worth environment and stick out like the sorest thumb you've ever seen, because it's just not what we're used to. My very early days, I got given a tip for holding an elevator door, and I tried to give the tip back to the head of security for that particular team, who actually had guys from Delta that were in FOB Edinburgh on Herrick 8 that we took over from, working for that team. But to see vets and blue light service go into these new environments that are completely alien to us, you know, I've worked with people that couldn't spend their family generational wealth in 6 generations, even if they tried. So it's opening eyes to these other environments, but our core mission, no matter what we do to any of our community, and whether they're a subscriber or an actual part of the OpsCon community or not, we've just met them, they're a vet. Food on the table, roof over your head, everything else will come in time. That's it. That's it for us.
OpsCon itself is nearly 2 years old, or over 2 years old? 2024, you said.
October 2024. So we are, where are we at now?
In October, it'll be 2 years old.
Yeah.
It's good.
So,
Good math.
I'm glad you did the math.
You've worked in this environment and you've got a business already, but what are the lessons learned so far?
There are many.
Watch your back. That's the biggest one. Watch your back. My lived experience, especially in the security industry, is, just be mindful of those around you. Be a member of a team, but also be very, very wary that there's a lot of egos around you, and just keep doing what you know is right. That's the biggest one from my lived experience, not as a business owner, but as someone who's obviously worked in this environment, well, since I left the army, is keep your same mindset, don't lose it, and don't let others influence you.
You think that the obviously when we're in the military, we have that camaraderie, that team, that ethos. Naively, I would think that's still in, as in the private sector, as in it is in the military. I mean, there will be parts, obviously, when you're not, when you're on task, you'll have that. Generalistically, is it there or not?
The issue is, once you leave, pay scales differ, don't they? Right? So rank determines pay scale in the military. When you leave, it's kind of the same, but there could be a massive difference if you're a team leader to a member of a PES team or an RST or the driver. So everyone wants to make themselves look good. And in turn, when they're trying to do that, they're actually making the team look quite bad. And we all know that. You want to be the standout. You're not the guy that's going to get anywhere realistically. But in private security, unfortunately, people, they lose that mindset of put the team first, everything else will follow. And what they try and do is put themselves first. Look at me, I'm everything. Once they get to that level and start doing that, everybody else kind of falls suit, and they say, well, I have to do that as well to make myself look better, and it's just going to be all about me. Whereas with the OpsCon, that's what we're trying to do, is eliminate that and just remind everyone, actually, we're one big, giant team and one community, the end goal and the success of the mission is what we should care about. Everything else will come in time, and it'll come when it needs to come, because everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. I'm by no means I'm strong in every aspect. I mean, when I was doing that math earlier, I had to count to 2 and I had my boots off. So it's like I have my strengths and weaknesses. Everyone does. And when you try and give that false promise that I could do this, I could do that, I could do that, just be honest. I mean, I tell them all the time, there's no chance I could do that. Like, you're looking at the wrong guy. And I think people need to keep that mindset.
I think overall what happens is we lose the umbrella organization that was like the parent behind us. We served, that camaraderie isn't actually lost, but what happened was we didn't all like each other. Units had competition. There was an abundance of eclectic mix of characters in every direction. What happens in transition is you leave and that parent organization is gone, and it becomes dog eat dog world. And for whatever reason, that happens, that people become disenfranchised and lose that sense of self. Whereas what I've found in my 12 years now, you said naively, I also felt naively, but it does exist. It's just, how do we connect those that still believe in it? It does exist. The AVC for me, I never put, my medals were like badly in bad state on a shelf, hadn't been brassoed since almost I was given my Herrick medal. And Johnny and Matt and the AVC actually reignited and helped with that naivety that I felt that it was all gone. That's it. That was in the past, and now you're on your own going forward into the future. There is no parent organization, and the vets around you, yes, we can all get together, have a pint and shoot the shit, but the reality, we're all on our own and no one's coming to save you if everything goes wrong. It's not true. There is a lot of good men still out there, good men and women still out there, and the camaraderie does still exist. It's just, I think, maybe a bit of mindset as to the understanding of you've got to do something for yourself in this respect. Go and find it. And I learned that with the AVC, and now on 2 occasions, marched with you guys on Remembrance. I hadn't put my medals on since 10 years prior.
Mate, I think it's a really interesting thing, the Afghan veteran community. The AVC you talk about. We've had Johnny on the podcast, and there's veterans in the Afghan veteran community who are in their 20s because they're on pitting. And I think there is a real opportunity between the Afghan veteran community and OPSCON to support people going into, as I say at the moment, niche areas like private security, high net worth individuals, driving, where it's like a dovetail, nice fit. Do you know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, it was, you would deploy an Afghan, deploy to Iraq. If people left and did private security, it was to go back out to the Middle East to do that, Like you said earlier on, Lee, doing the same job, but with fucking less top cover, basically, and without air support. So I think the link from the Afghan veteran community and OPSCON is brilliant. And I think the fact that you give 10% of profit to them as well, because now they're registered charity, I think that's quality. That's a real thing. And it's lots of veterans who come on the podcast give some of their profit to veteran charities. It's just almost like built in that we want to give some of it back. I think it should be commended, guys.
The crazy thing is, the minute we know of a veteran suffering, and it's the same for blue light, and it's actually the same for most coming out of service, is that knee-jerk reaction. All of that naivety goes away, all of that dog-eat-dog, and I didn't like him, and this one did that, or, I haven't succeeded, and they have. It very quickly turns immediately on its head, and it's like, how can we help them? What can we do to help them? And the AVC is an amazing entity. What they have done with that is really quite something to bring together the community. And what we've done with the OPSCON, there is zero ego here. All we want is for everyone to succeed. And we have founding partner companies and e-commerce, where we try to take nothing, or we take a tiny percentage, which goes back into the community. It's never going into any one person's pockets. It's just a complete closed loop that no matter what, at any one stage in time, the members always winning first and foremost. But on the e-commerce, I mean, we've got the 5 and 20 socks. We've got Sabre Consultancy's tactical rigs. We've got Contact Coffee Company. And the bigger we can build that, the stronger we can build it. I mean, right now, our engagement and data from the American market, if we had an American OpsCon headquarters, we would be selling internationally and opening a ginormous market to, I don't know, Joe Blogs, who's selling pens. Well, actually, Bob Lovell, who's selling pens. Yeah, you know. So we can help each other in so many ways that you just need that basic foundation and infrastructure and platform to help promote that. And there's other guys out there doing similarities. All I've done is kind of bring the whole thing together, navigated some pretty serious egos, and set in motion the opportunity to get the community to trust that we are who we say we are, and we genuinely just want to help. We want to be that explosion. What's the things that you hold and you talk through it and you're louder? We want to,
megaphone. We
want to amplify whatever it is that an individual that comes to us and what they want to do. We want to amplify that opportunity.
So, mate, just as by way of we'll sort of close off the pod shortly. If a veteran is listening to this and wants to be a part of the OpsCon, what's the process?
Easiest, first and foremost, www.theopscon.com. Sign up to the newsletter, because then everything we do as the building blocks start growing, you're going to know about it. We released our first quarterly impact a month or so ago, because whilst we began in October 2024, there was a lot of work to understand the data. We released the new platform that you see now in October 2025. So we've treated that as the starting point as to when we can truly track the data of the impact that we can have in the wider community, in the international community that we're engaging. So head to the website, sign up to the newsletter as a starting point. That's free. And then you can see everything that we're doing and follow us along the journey. Get on the socials, follow us along the journey. And everything from that point forward is kind of a step up.
And come and meet us. We're always here in Battersea. Yeah. So anybody can stop by anytime. I mean, it's quite secure. Maybe drop us a message or something first, but but always, the door's always open for a coffee.
Guys, honestly, I absolutely loved it. It's been great to learn more about the OpsCon. Great to learn more about both of you, and to have our first international veteran on. Thank you, Lee.
Well, not a problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Guys, listen, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. I can't wait for the episode to come out and to share, and as I say, to celebrate more about the OpsCon. So thank you so much, guys.
Matt, Paul, really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Take care.
Take care.